In this lesson, we're going to begin with a very important question. What was the human body actually built around when it comes to food? Because if we want to understand what food does to the body, we first need to understand the context in which the body was designed. And that's really what this lesson is about. Not diet trends, not opinions, not food ideology, but the deeper biological question of what kind of nourishment did the human organism evolve with? To understand what food does to the body, we have to understand what the body was built around. The human body did not evolve in a modern day grocery store. It did not evolve around boxed snacks, fortified cereals, protein bars, energy drinks, seed oils, or hyper palatable processed foods. It evolved in direct relationship with the natural world. Food once came with structure, seasonality, limitation, and biological familiarity. In other words, the body had a relationship with food that was far more coherent than what most people experience today. And that matters because the body is always responding to the environment that it's in. One of the most important ideas to understand in nutritional medicine is this: our biology is old, but our current food environment is new. Humans have existed for a very long time, but the industrial food system is incredibly recent by comparison. That means the body we are living in today is still carrying ancient instructions. It still expects certain signals. It still responds to certain patterns. And it still functions best when nourishment aligns with its design. This is one of the foundational reasons why so many people today are struggling, not necessarily because their body is broken, but because the environment surrounding the body has changed so dramatically. Before industrialization, food was much more connected to place, season, and availability. People ate what could be hunted, fished, raised, gathered, grown, fermented, or preserved. Food was not available in endless abundance all year long. It was more local, more seasonal, more physical, and often much more nutrient dense. Meals were built around real ingredients. Animal foods were deeply valued in many traditional cultures. Natural fats were normal. Mineral rich broths, organs, eggs, fermented foods, seasonal fruits, and regionally available plants were all part of the human food story. This does not mean everyone ate the same thing, but it does mean that food came from the real world. And that alone is a major distinction. It's important to say this clearly. Humans did not all eat the same diet. This is where people often get stuck. Some traditional cultures ate more animal food, some ate more seafood, some included roots and tubers, some included fruit, some included dairy, and some used fermented grains or legumes after traditional preparation methods were put into place. So there was variety. But while traditional diets varied in form, they were often remarkably similar in principle. They were based on real food, food preparation, nutrient density, natural fats, environmental rhythm, and food that the body actually recognized. And that distinction matters because the goal is not to pretend every human should eat identically. The goal is to understand what kinds of dietary patterns are biologically coherent. Across many traditional cultures, we see several common themes. We see whole foods, less processing, naturally occurring fats rather than chemically altered fats, more protein and more nutrient density, and less reliance on refined flour and sugar. We see food that came from animals, land, water, and seasonal agriculture, not from industrial chemistry. And we also see something else. Food was often embedded in culture, family, ritual, and rhythm. It wasn't just fuel, it had meaning, it had place, and it had structure. The body recognized what it was receiving. And that matters more than most people realize because the body does not only respond to nutrients, it also responds to context. In systems medicine, food is never just about calories. Food is information. It tells the body what season it's in, how to regulate hormones, how to manage blood sugar, how to shape the microbiome, how to modulate inflammation, and how to influence neurotransmitters and immune signaling. Food helps the body understand the environment, and the body organizes its physiology accordingly. In traditional life, eating was more connected to rhythm. There were natural periods of abundance and natural periods of less abundance. There was seasonal shifts, there were cultural patterns, there was more coherence. Today, many people are eating in a state of constant stimulation, constant snacking, constant convenience, constant exposure, and constant availability. And the body often loses rhythm under these conditions. That is part of why nutritional architecture matters so much. Over time, the food environment has simply changed. Food became more refined, more shelf stable, more engineered, more convenient, and more disconnected from its natural origin. Calories became easier to access, but nourishment often became harder to find. More stimulation, less structure. More exposure, less regulation. And while convenience can certainly be useful, it also came with trade offs. Because when food becomes heavily processed, chemically altered, stripped of structure, and divorced from its natural form, the body has to work much harder to interpret it. And many systems begin to lose resilience under that pressure. When ancient biology meets a modern day food environment, the system often begins to lose coherence. This can show up as unstable blood sugar, cravings and appetite dysregulation, gut and immune reactivity, fatigue after eating, inflammation, weight gain, or metabolic resistance, and then, of course, mood and energy instability. And again, this is a very important systems medicine perspective. These symptoms are not random. The body is not confused, it's responding. They are often adaptive responses to an environment the body was never designed to navigate at this level of intensity. That doesn't mean that we need to go backward or live primitively, but it does mean that we need to respect biology. And that is what nutritional architecture is really about. So, the big takeaway from this lesson is this: the body is not struggling because it's weak. It's often struggling because the environment has changed. And one of the most powerful things we can do in a systems based practice like this one is begin restoring the kinds of inputs the body recognizes. Food can either increase chaos or it can restore coherence. And when we understand the history of the human diet, we gain a much deeper lens for why food matters so much in our modern chronic disease epidemic. When inputs become more coherent, the body becomes more capable of regulation. In the next lesson, we're going to build on this by looking at the work of Dr. Weston A. Price and the traditional dietary wisdom that helps us understand what resilient human nourishment actually looks like. See you in the next lesson.